No time limit. Chris Stephens.
Thank you very much, Mr Deputy Speaker. It's a real pleasure to follow the Right Honourable Gentleman for North West Hampshire, and I hope that other members of the House have listened to his contribution and what he's had to say, because I too share his concerns about the deviation of and using domestic legislation in this bill to deviate away from Foreign Office policy. And that is the clear concern that many of us had, in particular at committee stage and an exchange with the Honourable Member for Caerphilly when we were exploring this matter. We were talking about what the actual foreign policy is, because the bill, I believe, as it's currently constructed, is a clear conflation with Israel, the occupied Palestinian territories and the Golan Heights. And yet, the UK Government's guidance on overseas business risk states the UK has a clear position on Israeli settlements. The West Bank, including East Jerusalem, Gaza and the Golan Heights, have been occupied by Israel since 1967. Settlements are illegal under international law, constitute an obstacle to peace and threaten a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The concerns that we have is that it's less than subtle as a change. If not in direct policy, then certainly on emphasis. Equating Israel and the occupied territories is unique in any legislation, let alone in a statement, and questions the long-established position that the UK has cross-party in supporting a two-state solution based on 1967 borders. Also, Mr Deputy Speaker, the bill is, I believe, and we as a party believe, an assault on the devolution settlement for Westminster, not just of the Scottish Parliament, but the Welsh Senate. The legislation undermines devolution and it restricts the ability for public bodies to make their own moral judgment in matters of human rights and climate consciousness. Now, I heard the Secretary of State argue that public bodies should not deviate away from foreign policy. But as we've discovered in this debate and in all the debates that we've had, that Glasgow District Council in 1981, a Labour-led local authority, gave Nelson Mandela the freedom of the city of Glasgow. It also encouraged boycotting of South African goods and services. But the Foreign Office policy at the time was not to support sanctions of the apartheid South African regime. And so the question again is, could Glasgow District Council in 1981 have awarded Nelson Mandela the freedom of the city of Glasgow, and would Glasgow District Council have been allowed to encourage the boycott of South African goods and services? Because if this bill had been in place then I think the answer to that question is that it could not. And I'll give way to my honourable friend.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way. He's doing a great job at putting on record our opposition to this foul piece of legislation. But can I ask him, does he not think there is something particularly distasteful and grotesque that this is coming at this time, and that the only legislative response by the UK government to what is happening in the Middle East is to try and bring forward proposals to stifle criticism of Israel, when it is clear and there is so much evidence that Israel is facing charges of breaching international law and breaching the Geneva Convention? Surely most right-minded people in this country who believe in decency and fairness will think this is the wrong thing at the wrong time.
I thank my honourable friend for that. I think that we all have a concern that at this moment in time, whether it was appropriate to proceed with this bill, I think is a concern that many members have, and I'm sure that there will be other members who may wish to state that in when they get their opportunity to speak, Mr Deputy Speaker. The bill extends to devolved governments and local authorities in the devolved nations because procurement and investment by public bodies aren't reserved matters, and this would appear to breach the Seoul Convention if the devolved legislators don't agree. And I note, Mr Deputy Speaker, that the Scottish Parliament has not provided legislative consent to this particular bill. We also have concerns, Mr Deputy Speaker, that public bodies will not be able to make decisions around environmental protections. Friends of the Earth, for example, have said that the bill would prevent public bodies from divesting from fossil fuel, as well as diverting their money away from inadvertently funding human rights abuses abroad, such as modern slavery in the corporate supply chains. They would not be allowed to consider labour rights, for example, from China to Colombia, Bangladesh to Angola, Cambodia to Qatar, and Mexico to Romania. Poor workers' rights are not restricted to any one region of the world. According to the World Economic Forum, abuse of workers' rights around the world reached a record high in 2022. And I believe that public bodies, when making their funding arrangements and procurement and anything else, should be allowed to consider labour rights. And our concern is that the bill does not allow that to happen. I want to make it clear on behalf of the Scottish National Party, as I have at every stage of the bill, is that we are concerned that anti-Semitism is on the rise around the world. We must not look away, and we must call it out whenever we see it. Anti-Semitism is a truly global and iniquitous poison. The bill does not address the very epidemic, that is, of rising anti-Semitism, that it claims it wants to tackle. Mr Deputy Speaker, we're also concerned that the Government have ignored the evidence that many organisations have put forward with their concerns from this bill. The Balfour Project, the trade union Unison, of which I am proud to be a member, the Union of Jewish Students, Jews for Justice for Palestinians, who've all provided very good evidence of their concerns for the bill, and I'm afraid that those have not been taken on board by the Government when we've considered these matters. They've also rejected sensible amendments, Mr Deputy Speaker, those of us who have real concerns about Clause 3. Those of us who have very real concerns about Clause 4. I never thought I'd ever say it, but I have to say it again, that I'm seeking removal of Clause 4. Amendments to protect devolution and other public bodies, and amendments to ensure compatibility with human rights. So, in conclusion, Mr Deputy Speaker, the changing of foreign policy, impinging on the rights of devolved institutions and other public bodies, ignoring the evidence, rejecting sensible amendments, these are the key reasons why this bill does not deserve a third reading.